Respected, what if I told you that by this time next year, you could become a completely different person? Not because of one big breakthrough, not because of luck, and not because somebody came and rescued you, but because you made one tiny improvement every single day. Just 1% better. Most people ignore it because it sounds too small. But small things, done consistently, create extraordinary lives. There is a dangerous lie that keeps millions of people stuck. The lie is that success requires a massive transformation overnight. People wake up on January 1st, full of excitement. They promise themselves they will lose weight, make more money, become disciplined, read more books, build a business, and change their entire life. For a few days, they feel unstoppable. Then reality arrives. Motivation fades. Old habits return. By February, they are back where they started. But the people who truly change their lives understand something different. They understand that greatness is not built in a day. It is built daily. You see, when most people look at successful individuals, they only see the finished product. They see the millionaire, the athlete, the leader, the entrepreneur, the person who seems confident and unstoppable. What they don't see are the thousands of tiny decisions that created that person. Every great life is the result of ordinary days, repeated with extraordinary consistency. Imagine two people standing in the exact same place today. One decides to improve by just 1% every day. The other decides to stay exactly the same. At first, there is almost no visible difference. One day passes, then another, then a week. Nothing dramatic happens. But months later, the gap becomes impossible to ignore. One person has developed stronger habits, greater confidence, more knowledge, better health, and a clearer vision. The other person is still waiting for motivation to arrive. The difference wasn't talent. The difference wasn't intelligence. The difference was consistency. I remember hearing a story about a man who wanted to change his life. He was overwhelmed by how far behind he felt. He wanted to read 50 books, get fit, start a side business, and completely reinvent himself. But every time he thought about everything he needed to do, he became exhausted before he even started. Then one day he changed his strategy. Instead of trying to read an entire book, he read 2 pages. Instead of running 5 miles, he walked around the block. Instead of working 3 hours on his dream, he worked for 15 minutes. At first it felt insignificant, but those tiny actions became habits. Those habits became routines. Those routines became a lifestyle. And that lifestyle eventually became a new identity. That's what most people misunderstand. Success is not about what you do once. It's about who you become through repetition. The reason so many people fail isn't because they're incapable. It's because they're obsessed with results and impatient with progress. They plant a seed today and expect a tree tomorrow. Life doesn't work that way. Nature doesn't work that way. Growth is often invisible before it becomes obvious. Think about a bamboo tree. For years after planting it, there appears to be almost no growth above the ground. If you didn't know better, you would assume nothing was happening. But underneath the surface, roots are spreading, strengthening, and preparing. Then suddenly, when the foundation is ready, the tree shoots upward at an incredible speed. Many people quit during the root building season. They stop because they cannot see immediate results. But the truth is, some of the most important growth in your life is happening when nobody can see it. Every page you read, every workout you complete, every temptation you resist, every morning you wake up and keep your promise to yourself. You are building roots, and one day, people will call your success sudden. They will have no idea how many invisible victories created it. The year 2026 is giving every person a choice. You can continue living by accident, reacting to life, drifting wherever circumstances take you. Or you can begin living intentionally, 1% better every day. Now, I know what some people are thinking. My problems are bigger than 1%. My dreams are bigger than 1%. My struggles are bigger than 1%. And you're right. But here's what you must understand. 1% improvement is not about staying small. It's about creating momentum. A A parked car requires tremendous energy to start moving, but once it gains momentum, keeping it moving becomes easier. Your life works the same way. The hardest part is not becoming successful. The hardest part is starting. The hardest part is proving to yourself that change is possible. Once you begin creating evidence that you can keep promises to yourself, everything changes. Confidence doesn't come from positive thinking. Confidence comes from evidence. When you tell yourself you're going to wake up earlier and then you actually do it, you create evidence. When you tell yourself you're going to exercise and then you follow through, you create evidence. When you tell yourself you're going to learn a new skill and then you practice consistently, you create evidence. And that evidence slowly transforms the way you see yourself. You stop seeing yourself as someone who wishes. You start seeing yourself as someone who acts. That's where real power begins. Because the most important thing you'll build in 2026 is not money. It's not status. It's not even success. It's trust in yourself. And once you trust yourself, there is very little in this world that can stop you. Every great achievement begins with a simple decision, a decision to improve today, not next Monday, not next month, not when circumstances become perfect. Today, because the future you dream about is being created by the actions you take right now. The person you become a year from now is hidden inside the choices you make today. 1% better, one conversation better, one habit better, one decision better, one day better. And when those days become weeks, and those weeks become months, you will look back and barely recognize the person you used to be. Part 2. The older I get, the more I realize that life rarely changes because of giant moments. It changes because of the small choices nobody celebrates. The world teaches us to chase dramatic transformations. We love stories about overnight success. We admire people who seem to rise from nothing and suddenly achieve greatness. But what we don't often hear about are the quiet mornings, the lonely evenings, the countless moments when nobody was watching. That is where lives are truly built. In 2026, one of the biggest challenges people face is distraction. Every day there is something competing for your attention. A new video, a new trend, a new excuse, a new reason to postpone becoming the person you were meant to be. The problem isn't that opportunities are missing. The problem is that focus is missing. Imagine carrying a bucket with a small hole in the bottom. No matter how much water you pour into it, the bucket never fills completely because something is constantly leaking out. That is exactly what happens when your attention is scattered. You read a motivational quote, then you scroll for 2 hours. You set a goal, then you spend days worrying instead of acting. You dream about success, then you allow distractions to steal the time required to create it. The truth is simple. Your future is hidden inside your daily schedule. If someone looked closely at how you spend your time, they could predict where your life is heading. Because time is life. Every hour wasted is a piece of life that never returns. And here's what hurts the most. Most people don't lose their dreams because they fail. They lose their dreams because they slowly abandon them. Not all at once. Little by little. One skipped workout. One postponed project. One excuse after another. Until eventually the dream becomes a memory. I want to tell you a story. There was a young man who desperately wanted a better life. He wasn't born into wealth. He didn't have powerful connections. He wasn't the smartest person in the room, but he had a dream. Every day after work, he would spend 1 hour learning a skill that could improve his future. Just 1 hour. Some days he was tired. Some days he felt discouraged. Some days he questioned whether it was worth it. But he kept showing up. 1 hour became 100 hours. 100 hours became 1,000 hours. Years later, people looked at his success and said he was lucky. But luck had very little to do with it. What they called luck was actually consistency. What they called talent was actually discipline. What they called overnight success was actually years of invisible effort. That story matters because many people underestimate the power of repetition. They want extraordinary results from ordinary effort. But life rewards those who stay committed long after excitement disappears. Motivation is wonderful when it's present. But motivation is unreliable. Some mornings you'll wake up feeling inspired. Other mornings you'll feel nothing at all. The people who transform their lives are not the people who always feel motivated. They're the people who continue moving even when they don't. Think about that for a moment. Your future should not depend on your feelings, because feelings change. Commitment remains. There will be mornings in 2026 when you don't feel like waking up early. Do it anyway. There will be days when you don't feel like learning. Do it anyway. There will be moments when quitting seems easier. Keep going anyway, because every time you act despite resistance, you become stronger. Every challenge becomes training. Every obstacle becomes preparation. Every difficult day becomes proof that you are capable of more than you believed. One of the greatest lessons life teaches is this: you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. People often spend hours setting goals and almost no time building systems. But goals don't change lives. Daily habits do. A goal is something you hope to achieve. A habit is something you become. And who you become matters far more than what you achieve. Because if you become disciplined, success follows. If you become focused, opportunities appear. If you become reliable, trust grows. If you become resilient, setbacks lose their power. The transformation always begins inside before it appears outside. This is why improving by 1% every day is so powerful. It doesn't just change your results. It changes your identity. Instead of saying, "I want to get healthy," you become a healthy person. Instead of saying, "I want to be successful," you become someone who consistently creates success. Instead of saying, "I want confidence," you become someone who earns confidence through action. An identity is powerful because once you truly see yourself differently, your behavior naturally follows. A person who believes they are disciplined acts differently than someone who believes they are lazy. A person who sees themselves as a learner behaves differently than someone who believes they know enough already. A person who views setbacks as lessons responds differently than someone who views setbacks as proof of failure. Everything changes when your identity changes. That is why 2026 should not be the year you chase perfection. Perfection is impossible. Instead, make it the year you chase progress. Some days your 1% improvement will feel huge. Other days it will feel tiny. Both count. The goal is not to impress the world. The goal is to become better than you were yesterday. There is incredible freedom in understanding this. You don't need to outperform everyone else. You only need to outperform the version of yourself that keeps settling, the version that keeps procrastinating, the version that keeps doubting, the version that keeps waiting for perfect conditions. Growth begins the moment you stop waiting and start moving. And the beautiful thing about small improvements is that they create hope, no matter how far behind you feel, no matter how many mistakes you've made, no matter how many opportunities you've missed. You can improve today. And if you improve today, you can improve tomorrow. And if you improve tomorrow, your future starts changing immediately. Not because everything becomes easy, but because you become stronger. Every day is another chance to cast a vote for the person you want to become. Every action is a vote. Every habit is a vote. Every decision is a vote. The question is simple. Who are you voting to become? Because whether you realize it or not, the person you've become at the end of 2026 is being created right now by the choices you're making today. Part 3. There comes a moment in every person's life when they must decide whether they are going to remain a spectator or become the author of their own story. Most people spend years watching life happen. They watch others succeed. They watch others take risks. They watch others chase dreams. And while they're watching, time quietly keeps moving forward. One day becomes 1 week. 1 week becomes 1 month. 1 month becomes 1 year. And before they realize it, another chapter of their life has passed without them truly living it. The truth is, time is the most valuable thing you possess. Money can be earned again. Opportunities can return. Mistakes can be corrected. But time never comes back. Every sunrise arrives with 24 fresh hours. Every sunset takes those hours away forever. That's why improving yourself by 1% every day is not just about achievement. It's about honoring the gift of your life. Think about how many people spend years waiting for confidence before taking action. They say they'll start when they feel ready. But readiness is one of the biggest myths ever created. Very few people feel ready before doing something meaningful. The entrepreneur isn't ready when they launch. The writer isn't ready when they begin. The athlete isn't ready when training starts. The leader isn't ready when responsibility arrives. They become ready through action. Courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is movement despite fear. And every time you move forward, you discover strengths you didn't know existed. I want you to imagine standing at the bottom of a mountain. The peak is hidden behind clouds. You can't see the entire path. You don't know every obstacle ahead. You don't know exactly how long the journey will take. Most people look at that mountain and become overwhelmed. They focus on everything left to climb. But successful people think differently. They focus on the next step, just one step, then another, then another. Eventually, those small steps carry them to places they once thought were impossible. Life works the same way. You don't need to know every answer. You don't need to see the entire future. You simply need enough faith to take the next step. That faith grows stronger every time you keep a promise to yourself. Because the greatest battle you'll ever fight is not against the world. It's against the voice inside your own head. The voice that says you're too late. The voice that says you're not talented enough. The voice that reminds you of every mistake you've ever made. The voice that tries to convince you to stay comfortable. Comfort is dangerous. Not because comfort is bad, but because comfort can become a prison. Many people are not trapped by failure. They're trapped by familiarity. They stay in situations that no longer serve them because change feels uncomfortable. They keep repeating the same habits because growth requires effort. They keep shrinking their dreams because dreaming bigger demands courage. But nothing extraordinary happens inside a comfort zone. Every meaningful transformation requires stepping into uncertainty. Every great achievement begins with discomfort. Every powerful version of yourself is waiting on the other side of the fears you're avoiding. That's why 2026 can become the most important year of your life. Not because circumstances will suddenly become perfect, not because challenges will disappear, but because you can decide that this is the year you stop allowing fear to make your decisions. Fear has stolen enough dreams. Fear has delayed enough goals. Fear has convinced enough people to settle for less than they're capable of becoming. The remarkable thing about fear is that it grows when you avoid it and shrinks when you face it. The conversation you're afraid to have, the skill you're afraid to learn, the opportunity you're afraid to pursue, the change you're afraid to make. Those things often hold the key to your next level of growth. And here's something I've learned about life. You don't build confidence before taking action. You build confidence because you took action. Every courageous step sends a message to your mind. The message says, I can handle more than I thought. That message changes everything. Because confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you earn. It's built through challenges. It's strengthened through persistence. It's developed through keeping promises to yourself when nobody else is watching. There will be moments this year when progress feels painfully slow. You'll wonder whether your effort matters. You'll question whether you're getting anywhere. You'll compare your journey to someone else's success. Don't do that. Comparison is one of the fastest ways to destroy joy. You are running your race, not theirs. Everyone has a different starting point. Everyone has a different path. Everyone has a different timeline. The only comparison that matters is who you are today versus who you were yesterday. If you're growing, you're winning. If you're learning, you're winning. If you're improving, you're winning. The world may not notice immediately. Friends may not notice immediately. Even you may not notice immediately. But growth is happening. Every lesson learned, every distraction resisted, every excuse defeated, every difficult choice made. It is all adding up. The compound effect is working, even when you can't see it. And one day, the person you are becoming will look back at the person you are today with gratitude. Gratitude that you didn't quit. Gratitude that you kept going. Gratitude that you chose growth over comfort. Because the future version of you is depending on the decisions you're making right now. The stronger version, the wiser version, the more confident version, the more disciplined version. That person is not created by one giant breakthrough. That person is created one day at a time, one habit at a time, one choice at a time, 1% at a time. And every single day you continue moving forward. No matter how small the progress seems, you are becoming someone capable of accomplishing things that once felt impossible. Conclusion. As we come to the end of this journey together, I want you to remember something that could change the rest of your life. You do not need a new year to become a new person. You do not need perfect circumstances. You do not need more luck. You do not need permission from anyone. What you need is a decision to stop underestimating the power of small actions, a decision to stop waiting for motivation, a decision to stop postponing the life you know you're capable of living. The truth is, most people will spend 2026 exactly the same way they spent the year before. They will make promises they don't keep. They will chase quick results. They will quit when progress becomes difficult. And next year, they'll wonder why nothing changed. But you don't have to be one of those people. You can choose a different path. A path built on consistency. A path built on discipline. A path built on daily growth. A path built on becoming 1% better every single day. Imagine yourself 12 months from now. Imagine waking up with greater confidence because you've kept promises to yourself. Imagine looking in the mirror and seeing evidence of your effort. Imagine having knowledge you don't possess today, strength you don't possess today, wisdom you don't possess today. Imagine becoming the person you've always hoped you could be. That future isn't created by magic. It's created by choices, tiny choices, repeated daily, because life is not changed in a single moment. Life is changed in moments repeated consistently. And here's the beautiful part. You don't have to transform your entire life tonight.